Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan here today again with another video for you, just talking to you guys casually about what's been on my mind with regards to 2020. This year has been considered to be a year of crisis, I believe, on so many different levels. I just wanted to share something with you guys that I hope would kind of make you guys feel a little bit more comfortable with what's happening now in the world. These times of massive changes that's happening right now. I've really been thinking about the cause of the chaos that we see in the world this year, and as we've always had in humanity, whatever that chaos really is. Although the process or the steps that we're taking to try to create world peace, which is what a lot of us want to create, is that we would like to have a peaceful life, have peace in the world, see love happening, and we're taking action to bring that about. And I absolutely support those actions and any causes that we're trying to do in the world. But I've also been thinking that these actions are not enough. And the reason why is because there's a root cause that a lot of projects, petitions, protests are not addressing. And so it's kind of like a tree, you know, our society is like a tree, and there's the leaves are filled with holes and pests. You know, we're trying to do something to like maybe prune the tree, maybe we're trying to cut off certain parts of the branches so that we can grow new ones. And I absolutely think that's necessary, because that kind of an action draws attention to the issues that we have right now in society and in the world, and it's definitely necessary. But like I said, it's not enough, because even though we're still trying to prune the tree and we're trying to cut the leaves or the branches, the root of the tree is already rotten. And therefore, if we want to really have a better society and a better world that we live in, we have to get to the root of it. And we need to address what's being rotten underneath what we're seeing on the surface as chaos. And what does this really mean practically? This is what I've been thinking about, and I want to share a word of the Buddha to you guys, and the Four Noble Truths, which if you're not familiar with that, then you're going to be familiar with that today. And you know, of course, Buddha is considered one of the enlightened ones, and there's a reason why he understood something that a lot of us are overlooking. This root that's rotting, of this tree that's rotting in our society, is suffering. The reason why human beings, living things, take action, any action in the world, is because of internal suffering. And this is obvious, of course, when it comes to things like, why do we hurt other people? It's because we're suffering inside. We're trying to escape or act on some fears, some insecurities that's causing us suffering from within. But when we really see, why do we also act really, really good? It's also because of suffering. For example, why do we want to offer, help to animals? Why do we want to save animals? Why do we want to help and heal other people? Because we either don't want them to suffer, or we understand their suffering, or if we don't, we're feeling some kind of suffering inside. And this suffering can be something like we have a higher calling and we can't get to it, we have a life purpose and we don't know what it is, so we want to take away the suffering, so we're going to try to help to heal other people. And therefore, suffering is not a bad thing. This is what the Buddha said. This is the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, is that for the first truth that's true for all of us is that we all have suffering. The second is that we all want to be rid of the suffering. We want to cease the suffering. It's true for all of us. The third is that there's always a cause for suffering. And the fourth truth is that there's always going to be a path to the cessation of suffering. And when I really think about this, when we suffer and we don't address the cause of our real suffering, we're going to take the wrong path to be rid of suffering, which is what we see in the world nowadays, this chaos that's going on, is that we're not taking the right path because we don't know the cause of our suffering. So when a lot of people are coming out now in the world and they're saying, oh, we have to look inwards, we have to look inwards, what does this really mean? You know, to look inwards and to have an individual change in order to cause a collective change, it means addressing the cause of our suffering. So, and I do believe that a lot of the causes of our suffering is fear as well. And fear is based in the root of survival, because we need to survive in one way or another. So we have this fear that we're not going to survive, and so we act on that. And we fear that there are threats coming to us and we're not going to survive, so we're going to act on it. So when we really look inwards to the root, the cause of all of our suffering, which is like the rotting roots of a tree, right? And if that is fear, and fear is not rational. Fears are irrational. What we fear is usually an anxiety for something that's going to happen in the future because of what we have experienced in the past. So if we operate on the suffering of fear, we are operating in the present moment, either based on a future or the past. So we're not living in the present moment. And if we operate based on what we know to be true to us in the past, we're going to get the past in the present day. And sometimes the things of our past are things like preconceived notions about people in the world that are instilled within us, and we're carrying it within our bodies and our mind. For example, let's say, things like, this is an easy example, all snakes are scary. Maybe somebody told us in our past that snakes are scary. Maybe we experienced being bitten by a snake in the past. And then we're coming into the present day, and the moment we see a snake, we immediately act on the fear of something in the past that has happened to us because we don't want to suffer. So we're either going to kill the snake before it attacks us, or we're going to run away from the snake before it attacks us, without even knowing whether the snake is going to attack us or not. Because we're trying to have a future in which we'll still be alive. So this is a kind of a very simple explanation of how we're living with fear and with suffering. And you see how this is kind of dangerous. Although, we can argue and say that it's necessary to protect ourselves against danger and things like that. But, the logic behind it has to not come from fear. Meaning that if we are, this is so abstract, guys. Sorry, Mercury in the 12th house, very abstract. But meaning that if we are seeing the snake in front of us and the snake hasn't yet done anything, then if we're not living on fear or with this need to escape from suffering, we can just simply do nothing. We can simply be in the present moment with that snake, and maybe nothing happens and nobody gets hurt in the process. But if, like we've mentioned before, we are living on the past in the present day to escape from sufferings because of fear, somebody's getting hurt in the situation, or we're running away and we're causing chaos. So I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say here in this time of crisis for you guys is that, first of all, just be in the present moment. Practice being in the present moment. But the thing about when we're looking inwards, there's a lot of processes that goes into deconditioning our actual body from fear. Just telling people to be in the present moment, that's actually not enough, because sometimes this reaction to the present situation based on the past is instilled in the actual cell membrane in our body. So there's a process that has to happen, like maybe therapy or psychotherapy or some sort of more body releasing exercises like somatic therapy that can be done for us to overcome our body and the way that it reacts to fear of the past. So this is a kind of like a purging process, you know, emotional purging even from things of our past. This is all very crucial. And it seems dark and it seems like there's something wrong with us and we have to go to therapy, right? But this is the ego talking, guys. This is the ego talking. If we could have that humility and love of ourselves to heal ourselves from our past, we will be able to be in the present moment. And with that, we have less chaos in the world. And then we can begin to raise awareness for other people to do the same things that we've done. You know, that's when the raising of awareness becomes very important. But just the raising of awareness alone and the external, you know, the worldly projects that we create alone is not enough. So that's my message for you guys. If you have anything you'd like to share or discuss based on this topic, you're welcome in the comments below. I love reading them. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't. If you already subscribed, thank you very much. We do currently have an online astrology hub where we chat and talk about astrology and human design and self-improvement. It's a hub that is called Astrology for Uranian Souls. So I'll provide a link to that in the description box below. You can check it out and then join us there. Yeah, so that's it. Have a beautiful day, beautiful souls. Bye.